You would not survive 3 weeks without food. Not because you'd starve, because you'd panic first. Hunger doesn't kill through absence. It kills through biological alarm responses you were never trained to ignore. That's the actual threat. This is not about Viking endurance or mental toughness. This is about metabolic protocols built by people who faced months, not days, of caloric scarcity. No grocery stores. No backup supply. No metabolic flexibility training. Only systems that preserve function during famine, or entire communities died. Scandinavia imposed biological deadline. Winter lasted 6 to 8 months. Hunting became sporadic. Fishing froze over. Stored food had to sustain entire settlements until spring, and storage often failed. Raids, disease, or poor harvests meant one thing: extended caloric deficit with no external rescue. The body had to function on minimal input. The mind had to stay operational under metabolic stress. The environment didn't negotiate. It demanded adaptation or extraction. The modern human body is catastrophically glucose dependent. We eat every few hours. We experience hunger as crisis. Our metabolism expects constant carbohydrate availability. Blood sugar drops trigger panic, irritability, cognitive fog. We interpret these signals as emergency, not transition. Remove consistent food access, and most people collapse psychologically within 48 hours. Not from starvation. From alarm response to a state the body was never trained to enter smoothly. The problem: prolonged hunger kills through 3 mechanisms: glycogen depletion, muscle catabolism, and psychological collapse from panic signaling. The Viking solution: Vikings didn't avoid hunger. They trained metabolic switching, the ability to shift from glucose metabolism to fat metabolism without cognitive or physical breakdown. Their first protocol was habitual fasting, not accidental, deliberate. Meals were not distributed evenly. Some days were intentionally sparse. This trained the body to enter ketosis, burning fat for fuel without triggering alarm. Their second protocol was fat-dominant nutrition. Fish oil, seal blubber, animal fat from every kill. Fat provides stable, long-burning energy. It doesn't spike insulin. It doesn't create dependency. A body trained on fat can transition into famine without the glucose crash that disables modern humans. Their third protocol was functional load during scarcity. Vikings did not rest when food was low. They worked, fishing, repair, travel. Physical activity under caloric restriction teaches the body to preserve muscle and prioritize energy for critical systems, not shutdown. Why it works: ketosis is not starvation. It's an alternate fuel system. The human body stores 100,000 plus calories in fat, but only if it's trained to access them. Metabolic flexibility is not genetic. It's built through exposure. By cycling between fit and fasted states regularly, Vikings maintained the enzymatic pathways that allow fat oxidation. When real famine hit, their bodies didn't panic, they switched fuels. Why we lost this knowledge: industrial food systems eliminated scarcity. Constant eating became default. Insulin stays elevated. Fat-burning pathways atrophy. We retained the biological machinery but never activate it. Now, hunger feels like emergency because we've never trained the transition. This system had no equipment, no supplement, no tracking apps. The technology was timing. Eating schedules designed around availability, not appetite. Work rhythms that maintained muscle under deficit. Social structures that normalize hunger as temporary, not catastrophic. The invisible technology was metabolic memory. A body that remembers how to function on low input doesn't collapse when input drops. It recalibrates. Famine is as much psychological as metabolic. Modern humans experience hunger as failure. We feel weak, irritable, unfocused, and interpret this as breakdown. Vikings experienced hunger as season. Routine hunger was predictable. It had beginning and end points. Mental models matter. If hunger is framed as temporary and survivable, the body allocates resources differently. Stress hormones stabilize. Cognitive function prioritizes essential tasks. Panic doesn't consume energy the system can't afford to waste. The psychological protocol was simple. Hunger is not emergency unless it exceeds known duration. That reframe alone changes metabolic response. Today, we eat preemptively. Breakfast before hunger. Snacks between meals. We've pathologized normal hunger signals as dysfunction. The result: metabolic rigidity, insulin resistance, psychological dependence on food availability. We offered more frequently and more fragile during scarcity. The comfort of constant food access eliminated the capacity to function without it. We didn't gain security. We traded adaptability for convenience. The Viking lesson is not to starve yourself. It's to stop treating hunger like a biological emergency. Resilience is built through metabolic range, not metabolic comfort. The body can run on multiple fuel sources. but only if those pathways are used. Controlled fasting trains fuel flexibility. Fat-adapted nutrition stabilizes energy without dependence. Physical activity under mild deficit preserves function instead of signaling shutdown. The principle: regulate fuel systems through exposure, not avoidance. The Vikings didn't survive famine because they were superhuman. They survived because they understood the body defaults to whatever fuel system it practices most. This channel studies those systems, not diets, not willpower, just metabolic protocols that worked when failure meant population collapse. If that interests you, stay.